Empire Broadcasting presents the Professionals Roundtable with Muriel Donnelly, 9 to 2 p.m. Hear what's hot in the professional world. Timely topics to propel your career to the next level. Professionals Roundtable, 9 to 2 p.m. exclusively on Empire Broadcasting.
Good afternoon and welcome to Empire Broadcasting. I'm your host, Muriel Donnelly, and this afternoon we are joined by a wonderful lady. She is the owner at Veterinary House Calls from Franklin, Massachusetts. Please welcome to our show, Dr. Paula Ruel.
Thank you for having me, Muriel.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us. Now, I want to start off basically, Dr. Paula, by just talking about a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what led you down the path of being a vet. And because I see it as as a vocation, because it's something that I can't imagine people doing this for any other reason than the love of animals. So what happened? Where were you when you decided you want to be a vet? Because my 7-year-old daughter is like, I want to be a vet.
Absolutely. Well, my experience started very early. I had some pets, but it really wasn't that so much. I mean, I loved animals, and but I was very curious about how things worked. I loved science. I loved to watch animals and see how they behaved and what made them work the way they worked, and I loved that kind of science-based knowledge. And as I grew, like a lot of young girls, they want to be a veterinarian because they do love animals, and I did love animals. I took it to that next step because I just loved the science aspect and did everything I could to learn about them. And, I'd had animals from time to time growing up, but I think that the big piece for me was having my first very large animal by the time I was about 10, and I had a horse. And, I have some great stories because I came from a family that my father and mother were not, were always supportive to me, but they always knew that I had to be a responsible young child. And so that was a great story for me to share with a lot of people when they ask me about how I really became dedicated to pursuing the veterinary career. And, I remember riding horses as a youngster, and I kept going to my father and mother and saying I'd love to have a horse. And, they said no, and because, I was only 8 years old, 9 years old, and by the time I was 11, I found this one horse, and they sat me down and they said, you can have this horse, but if you have this horse, you need to know that you have to get up every morning, you have to feed this horse, you have to water this horse, you have to clean the stall, you have to ride this horse. And if you don't, the horse has to go. And, it was an amazing part of my world, and I had that one horse for 17 years, and that molded me as a human being, first of all. Second of all, it molded me to take care of something that, no one else was taking care of. It taught me unconditional love. It taught me that I was no better than anybody else because I had to get down and dirty and really get involved with the care, the medical aspects as well. And it was a great thing that my parents did for me. And so it started to really solidify into something more clear for me that this is the path that I wanted to take. Absolutely.
And that's the thing is like my beautiful cat, her name was Tilly, and she passed away 2 years ago. But it's crazy because I had the cat before I got the husband and I got the kids, so she was my first kid. And it's funny because people say, oh, why don't you get another pet? Why don't you get, and I'm like, you don't understand. They're members of your family and you have a bond with them, and you can't just go out and replace them. It doesn't work like that. You don't just go out and get a new one. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because and that's the thing about that's why I love vets so much, is because there's this thing, I feel like with people there's always an ulterior motive. With animals you don't have that. Their love for you is just as pure as it gets. Does that make sense at all?
Absolutely. And I think that what happens is that when you have that bond, and I learned this very early. I learned it, in my teen years, and I found that to be able to take care of this animal, it taught me so many things, and this unconditional love, and that we can't give each other oftentimes try to as humans, but we can't always do that. And with animals, it is complete. I have right now 7 animals. I have 4 cats, 2 dogs, and a horse. They're all from mixed areas of rescue and so forth, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Absolutely. Now, I want to very quickly talk a little bit. You do alternative medicine. You do house calls for the end of life services, which I wish I had around here because I didn't. And you also educate people about their pets and wellness. So let's start off with the alternative medicine. What kind of alternative medicine do you have, or do you use, or do you recommend for animals?
Well, I think that in today's world, even with human medicine, I'm also a registered nurse, so I have kept my license to be able to work with doctors in their offices. Unfortunately, we're seeing less and less education around alternative ways to heal, because our bodies, whether it be a cat or a dog or human, we have an innate ability to heal ourselves. And we just need to have, capabilities at our fingertips to be able to offer that to our patients. And a lot of veterinarians and doctors in human medicine don't have that because we don't have, unfortunately, the United States doesn't allow us to clear or FDA approve certain things. But I, 11 years ago, bought a German-engineered BICOM resonance machine. And what that does is that it treats the root cause of the illness. So instead of throwing a pharmaceutical at the pet or the human, I can go in with an electromagnetic feedback loop, which the person is in front of, or the animal mostly, and I can identify blocks and scars and problems within the body and treat that, and then the body can heal itself. I do a lot of chronic allergies. I can do inflammatory bowel disease. I have treated Lyme disease. I've had some great results. It actually transformed my practice 11 years ago because I stopped having the need to use so many more pharmaceuticals on my pets. And this company in Germany it's been around for over 35 years. This modality is used in 54 European countries, 90% on humans. And I can't tell you what it's done for my practice. And it's just getting the word out and having people know about it and reaching out. Unfortunately, it's not a quick fix, which we all want. Because of the United States, we want everything fast and furious and instant. This is a process, so it's not something that happens overnight.
Right. But that's a good thing is and I feel like and sometimes, I get frustrated, but I think that, I'm a real firm believer in alternative medicine. I believe that we're too complicated these days. I believe we're too hung up on all these medicines and things that people keep pushing down our throats. And I really feel like, you look at people in other countries around the world that don't have the access to healthcare like we do. And I agree that there are cases where they die because they don't have, they need operation, etc. But apart from that, I feel like a lot of these people, they take care of themselves with the basics that they have. And I think we're just killing ourselves with everything that we have inside us, around us. And I love alternative medicine. I'm a firm believer that we need to get back to the core and to the basics of things, because everyone else, people who don't have 1/1000th of what we do seem to be doing way better than we are.
And one of the things that a lot of human medicine and veterinary medicine isn't really grasping today, we're getting better at it, but we're not great at it, and that is teaching our clients and teaching our patients about nutrition. Because when you when you teach them about good nutrition, then the client knows about what good foods to feed their pet. And a lot of veterinarians, we don't get a lot of nutrition education in school, and neither does the human medicine counterpart. And that's one of the problems here, is that we have to teach them that you can't just feed whole food, limited ingredient. You have to supplement, and because the environmental stresses and the environmental toxicity and the ability to provide a soil that's really good to provide good nutrition isn't there anymore, and so we have to teach that to our clients. We have to teach that to our patients. So I also supplement with really good antioxidants because they are so important in helping fight free radicals in the environment. And so I'm very, very dedicated to teaching, and that is very much my goal in the next 10 years is to get out the education around that.
Absolutely. And you know what? My hat's off to you, because I think that's what we all need. We need preventative methods. And I think that's what we're talking about here, is you are giving people the tools to take precautionary actions. Isn't that better than, isn't that what we were always told? Prevention is better than cure, right?
Yes. And as an example, I went to a house yesterday and a cat was having chronic issues with the skin. And I asked her to bring out the bag of food and to read the first 5 ingredients for me. And she did, and she has never done that, and she was appalled.
Right.
It was corn, barley, soy, chicken product meal. It was like all of the ingredients that are detrimental to an animal's body. And I tried to explain this to her and how important this is, and she was really grateful because nobody has ever sat her down and chatted with her, and then she was able to get information from me about what kind of food is good to give her animal.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that we all talk about how we try and, or most of us, we try and talk about how, how food is important, trying to make sure that we cut down on the sugars and certain bad fats, because I don't think all fats are bad, but certain bad types of fats and stuff like that. And as you say, like, you see people shopping and looking at the back of the cans or the back of the product to try and see what it is. And I agree. If you've got an animal, they're a member of your family. They didn't choose to come to you. You chose to bring them into your house like a child. So I'm a firm believer that if you choose to take on an animal, like you choose to have a child, you make the right decisions for them because they're not capable of doing it. And I feel like if they were out, maybe they'd have a better chance of staying healthy for longer, So I go on about animals. I'm sorry. I'm crazy. But I want to take a very, very quick commercial break before we go any further. But just to remind all our listeners out there that our wonderful guest this afternoon is Dr. Paula Ruel, and she is the owner at Vet House Calls from Franklin, Massachusetts. Please go and and visit, go ahead and look at her website, which is vethousecalls.us. That's VETHOUSECCALLS.us. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Being a strong, empowered woman can mean real work, which is why I go to Dr. Bartley. Dr. Bartley helps me through my stress and business struggles, but she has so many other specialties like life transitions, identity, anxiety, trauma, and she even works in groups and businesses. She has rebuilt communication, walked us through conflict, gender issues, and so much more in the office. You can call her for assistance in your personal or business life at 507-403-3394. Email her at naomi@naomibartley.com or visit her website for so much more information, naomibartley.com. Naomi Bartley, helping you discover and recover your heart's passion.
The next step to following your dreams is closer than you think. KDMA and the Actors Studio is an established, reputable talent management and services agency based on the East Coast. Actors, models, singers, voiceover artists, and live entertainers trust their careers with KDMA. Not only does KDMA advise and market talent, they provide talent with the necessary tools to be successful in today's demanding entertainment industry, offering in-house classes, coaching, photo and video services, reel and audio production, showcases, seminars, and more. KDMA makes talent development and advancement simple and affordable. For more information about talent representation and services at KDMA and the Actor Studio, visit KDMA&theactorstudio.com. That's KDMA&theactorstudio.com. Let KDMA take your career to the next level.
Empire Broadcasting presents the Professionals Roundtable with Muriel Donnelly, 9 to 2 p.m. Hear what's hot in the professional world. Timely topics to propel your career to the next level. Professionals Roundtable, 9 to 2 p.m. exclusively on Empire Broadcasting.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Empire Broadcasting. I'm your host, Muriel Donnelly, and this afternoon we are joined by a wonderful lady. She is the owner of Veterinary House Calls from Franklin, Massachusetts. Please welcome back to our show, Dr. Paula Ruel. Welcome back, Dr. Paula. Now, before we went to our quick break there, we were talking about you're talking about how you try and educate people about their pets, the wellness of their pets, what they're eating, etc. And you're also talking about alternative medicine. And you talk about doing house calls for end-of-life services. Is this normal for most vets to do this?
Well, I have been a house call practitioner since 1991, and I was probably one of the first in the Boston area. There was maybe one or two others. And the reason why I started house calls was pretty much a selfish motivation because I had my first baby, and I was working 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and I couldn't leave him. And so I put an ad in the paper, and it was an instant house call practice because people realized how important decreasing the stress of their pet and for themselves was so important, and they just warmed right up to it, and the house call practice just grew. But over the last several years, end-of-life services has been more and more requested, and a lot of the practices aren't able to do it because they have such a busy practice anyway. They can't schedule to go out and go to the home. So
right.
We have several house call practitioners in the Boston area, and I do probably 4 a week. And people call me that don't even know me, but they get referrals. They hear about me. They go online. And I have been doing this, as I said, since 1991. So I have a very good grasp of how to handle the patient and the client, and it is such a peaceful and secure and safe environment for them. And I can't tell you how many letters of appreciation I have received. It's just the act of being at home. Now, some people can't do that. Some people can't have their pet at home. They would remember their pet being put to sleep or euthanized or whatever, raising them up, or they wouldn't want that in their home. But that's rare. It's very rare. And so I've been blessed.
Right. Because as I said, I mean, I really don't know of that many. And I'm sure, as you pointed out, that if there was maybe more people in the practice, etc., maybe it would be easier. But as you said, people are busy and there's so much going on, etc., that it's not always easy to go out and make those house calls. Now, moving back very quickly with regards to the what can I say, the types of food that you feed your cats, etc. Is there a typical? I mean, like should people go to their vets first and ask their vets what they should feed their cats? Because I feel like I'm trying to think. I can't even remember what kind of kitty food I bought my cat, but I feel like the vet was like, you need to give your cat X, Y, and Z. So should people, rather than just going out there and just buy whatever for the longevity of their cats or dogs or whatever animals, should they discuss this primarily with a vet?
Well, what happens is that they don't. And what they do is that they go to a pet store, and a person who is a sales rep or a sales manager or a salesperson working in the store, really, I don't see them having the kind of knowledge that they might want to have, because they're supporting certain kinds of foods there. And if you go to a specialty store that carries, grain-free or fresh food or freeze-dried or raw foods or things like that, they might be a little bit more educated. But, I have the gamut of doctors feeding all kinds of things to their pets, even their own pets. And there's no consensus, and unfortunately it's because of lack of education. And, for instance, Hill's diet, and I'm going to say Hill's because it's recommended, quote, by veterinarians. And that's a little unfortunate, because you have